Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for clicking on today's video. My name's Jacob. We're in the studio. We got two special guests with us today. We're going to be doing a table talk, and we're going to be talking about a few different things, right? And uncensored at the table. We got Sammy. We got Andrew. They're both from GCU, and I also know Sammy from Knockout Fitness. So we're going to talk a little bit about martial arts and stuff. So thank you guys for joining me on the podcast today.
Yes, perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So if anyone has any questions, we are live. Go ahead and throw your comments in the comment section, and we will see those as we are talking. But so we're going to talk a little bit about martial arts. I think we should learn how to defend ourselves, especially in this crazy world that we're living in today. And you just told me before we press play that you were bullied as a kid. So tell us a little. Did that contribute to your expertise in martial arts?
For sure. It's like I think that's the main reason why I started. Right, just kind of feeling like self-confident. Learning discipline, some of those things that you don't really learn too much as a kid, and it's one of those things that really help you grow as an adult. So teaches you discipline, hard work, and physical fitness. Looking good, self-esteem goes up, right?
Absolutely.
Feeling confident in almost every situation is ideal, right? So that's what you try to aim for when I feel like you're practicing martial arts.
Yeah, I know that you're helping me on my fitness journey. Yes. So for those who don't know, I made a goal of getting a six-pack in 6 months.
You remember the first thing I told you about that?
About tracking?
Yes.
Tracking food.
Yeah.
And so I got my fitness pal.
There you go.
And started tracking. And then I did it for 2 weeks. And then I stopped.
Yep.
And then I mentioned it to you again. And you're like, bro, you don't really want those abs then, do you?
No, yeah. You got to count your calories.
And I was bullied as a kid for being a fat kid. So,
it's funny. I was bullied for being the skinny kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the scrawny, small, skinny kid.
And guys, every time I see Sammy, I told him that there's a movie that came out called Never Back Down. It's an older martial arts movie. And I'm like, bro, every time I see you, you remind me of the bully in Never Back Down. But you're not a bully.
No, I'm not a bully for sure. I'm like the opposite of a bully. I'm actually overly nice. Sometimes in my sparring, my coach is like, hey, stop, pulling your punches. Get going a little bit. Like sometimes I'll be a little too friendly. But every once in a while, you got to spar hard to kind of like get that feeling, especially if you have a competition coming up. Get that feeling of readiness, and it's more realistic. But of course, when you're just kind of like out of camp, training camp, or whatever, you want to just go nice and easy, make it playful, make it fun.
Yeah. When you're punching somebody right in the nose, just make it fun. Make it fun.
We're all friends.
Yeah, that happened to me at actually Knockout before we stopped sparring.
No, really?
I was just playing around like in the ring, and
do you know who you're going with?
I don't, but the guy was intense, and I didn't realize like we were going soft, right?
Yeah.
And then I think he got mad. And then just threw one hard over my head and just got me right in my nose. And I said, I'm going to stick to the bag.
My advice, if anybody here is interested in martial arts, there's always going to be one person at a gym who just goes a little too hard. The biggest thing is you just have to have you just don't let your ego get in the equation. Because if you get upset and then you start sparring hard, especially if they're better than you, then you might get hurt, right? So what you do is you just put your ego aside and you just ask them nicely to like go a little lighter. And if they don't go lighter, then the next time you practice and they're looking for a partner, you just don't partner up with them.
Yeah. Or you can do what someone did to me one time. So I was in martial arts when I was younger.
Yeah.
What'd
you do again?
I did Shaolin Kung Fu. And so I was able to do the splits by the time I was like 12 years old.
Right.
I used to like to do a lot of kicks, right? And so I was fighting one of the coaches, and I was throwing my kicks, but I couldn't control them very well.
Right.
So they would just fly like right to his face. And like on the second time, he's like, dude, if you do that again, I'm going to teach you why not to do that to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, man. And then we're fighting. And then, again, foot goes up, and he's like, bro, I'm telling you, like, don't throw a kick to my face. And so I'm just like, whatever.
Why'd you do it? Did you throw a kick to his face?
I did. And then
can I ask why?
I was just stupid, being stupid.
Yeah.
And so I did it again. And what he did was he threw his elbow up, and my foot hit his elbow. And then he grabbed my. I still don't know how he was able to do this so fast. My foot hits his elbow. He grabs my leg, sweeps the other side, and then uses his other elbow, and he hits my. He comes down on my gut, and I go straight down, and I'm laying there with a broken toe, and I couldn't breathe.
Pretty intense.
You broke your toe from that?
He broke my toe.
I broke my toe before.
That's wild.
I mean, you know this from doing Muay Thai. When you do Muay Thai, there's like 2 different types of ways to throw front kicks, but there's a karate way where you kind of flick it. You flick it, and then the Muay Thai way is you like chamber the leg and then you shoot it forward. When you flick it, it's faster, but it's more dangerous because when you flick it, you're coming up kind of like almost like an uppercut, and you can hit people in the elbows.
Yeah.
I did that once and I broke my toe.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you got to be wary, like, especially whenever you throw kicks. If you throw any types of front kicks, people can block that with their elbows, and it's really easy to break a toe on that. Have you ever had anything like that where you like jammed your toe or anything like that?
No, not always, just minor stuff.
I can tell you this though, like sparring, like I said, when you spar with that guy that spars a little too hard, I've had a couple stories about that. Usually the rule is if you get someone to spar hard, then you just kind of ask them politely to slow down.
Yeah.
And then if let's say you're like a little bit better than they are, then what you do is the rule of thumb is that you just you go light to the head, but you throw like really hard body punches and body kicks. That's kind of at least what I've always done.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. Or Andrew's a really good wrestler.
Yeah.
He's been wrestling since like 2nd grade, right?
Yeah, for a long time.
Long time. If it's MMA sparring, he'll just kind of take them down and then just smother them a little bit, right?
Yeah. No, it's rough with the sparring. It's like I'll go a little bit hard, and then they go a little bit back, a little bit harder, and then it just kind of escalates.
Yeah.
Because it's competitive, you know, like you can't help but be a little bit competitive, and when you're doing something like that. So that's what I've run into a lot.
So Sammy, you were bullied. You got into martial arts, started to learn how to protect yourself. So tell me, Andrew, what got you into martial arts?
Honestly, it was interest. Like I would see like the jiu-jitsu stuff on the Joe Rogan podcast or whatever, but I wrestled and all that stuff. And honestly, just everybody kind of wants to prove a little bit something to themselves, you know, that they're tough or whatever.
Right.
That was probably part of it.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know. I liked fighting, you know, it's cool. It's fun.
You should tell them about your wrestling, like how you got started and like where you went to wrestling, because the school you went to wrestling was apparently like really like ranked pretty high, right?
Yeah. Waukee High School in Iowa. It's just an elite high school for wrestling and stuff. I was kind of in and out in the varsity lineup. It's just very competitive. Like wrestling was everything. People wrestling year round there.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently, right. Wasn't the wrestling gym, or not was like as big as a gymnasium, right? Like, and there was a lot of kids.
We had 3 full wrestling mats in our wrestling room at the high school, and then we had like a full sidelines area. Like it was an insanely crazy wrestling room.
That's legit.
Yeah, dude. He's wrestling. I've seen him wrestle like some high level grapplers.
Yeah.
His wrestling is no joke. Like, I think that was like the one thing that really impressed me the most, like right from the get go, from when you started doing kind of like jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and stuff. Just kind of the wrestling they have a bit more of a grindy mindset.
Yeah.
They'll kind of be like bite down on their mouthpiece and just get going and kind of almost break whatever's in front of them. I mean, would you say that's fair, Andrew?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
when people like grow up wrestling, it sets up the aggression, you know, it sets up being out on the mat by yourself and not like with your team to kind of hide behind, you know, like you're out there alone and you have to perform in front of people. So it's like, that's a big part of it. And the mindset around the practices, like, you know how hard wrestling can be. It's like you're cutting weight, like there's so many different aspects to the difficulty of it and the mental part of it as well. I think the mental part of it's probably one of the bigger things.
Yeah, man.
So I didn't wrestle actually growing up at all, but you know, I got into jiu-jitsu and you know, there's a little bit of wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff. But one thing that I always tell parents is like, if you really want to get your kid into martial arts, even just I would say, even as a self-defense martial art is like wrestling. And it's, by the way, almost every school has it.
Yeah.
If you can get your kid into wrestling at an early age, I mean, did you probably had no issues with bullies or anything like that?
No.
I mean, look at him, man. Would you mess with this guy? No. He's like built like a giant square, you know what I mean? He's huge. But you know, his work ethic, I think, is one of the things that impressed me the most. It really inspired me, I would say, because he started doing martial arts at GCU. I started the GCU MMA Club. He started doing it. And one thing that really like kind of stepped it up for me was seeing his work ethic. Because I'll be honest, I always kind of tell him too, is like, I have a lot of good like techniques and like little tricks that I do when I spar. And the reason is because I tell him is like, I'm a lazy fighter a little bit. I try to like set up my feints and stuff, lots of fakes, a lot of like sneaky shots. And the reason I do that is because it's very energy conservative.
Yeah.
Just because like I said, I'm a bit of a lazy fighter, but he does not let you
get away with that.
Get away with that. No, he pushes the pace, which is huge. When you're having that kind of grappling heavy style, you have to push the pace. But it's one of those things, just as a human being, I was like, okay, I got to step it up. I remember I started, after that first year that he came, I started getting in the gym a lot more, like just weight training, being consistent like that. I don't think I've really missed a workout in like 6 months. And even then I like missed it for like a vacation for a week, you know? So like just being consistent, you know, with your weight training and your martial arts training is huge. And I think that's huge with anything in life. Like if you're gonna, you know, attack anything, like if you want to be like the best, you know, businessman or woman, you kind of have to be all in. You have to be working towards it each and every day.
Absolutely. I think that comes down to self-discipline.
Oh yeah.
Doing the hard stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was just talking about that on the pod yesterday.
So huge.
We're saying if you do what's easy, life will be hard. But if you do what's hard, life will be easy.
Oh yeah.
So true.
And
he's one of the most disciplined guys I know. And like also too, it, you know, discipline has taught me a lot of things. It taught me that, hey, no matter how you feel, like it doesn't matter if you feel motivated or not, you just get it done. Like you know, I listen to Jocko Willink podcast. We're talking about what podcasts we listen to. I listen to him sometimes. One of the things he always says is like, you know, even let's say you're tired, you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to work out. I'm sure Andrew was going through this in his training camp. Was you just show up and you go through the motions. At the very least, you know, like how you performed previous, and you just try to match that the best you can, especially on those days that you're not motivated. Those are the days that matter the most.
Yeah.
Is when you're like, don't want to be there. Don't you think, Andrew?
Yeah. Because if you talk yourself out of it one time, then you're more likely to talk yourself out of it again.
That's so true.
Then you become fat, you know, eating chips, sitting down, watching Netflix on a weekend.
All it takes is one. He's so right. Like I remember when I went to school at GCU, I missed one class. I had a lot of off and on of like being good about going to class. But if I missed one class, then I was so much more likely to miss another one.
Yeah.
But if I had like a streak where I just went like almost a full semester without missing class, but like right towards the end, if I miss a class, then all of a sudden it's so much easier to miss that second one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about, you know, faith on this channel too.
Right.
So we're going to be talking about faith and fighting, and, you know, a lot of Christians like to use that scripture. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, you give them the left cheek, but I don't want to give them the opportunity to slap either one.
Right.
And so I believe in Jesus and guns. And so if you want to come
more power to you, brother.
If you want to come to my house, you about to find out. But
that's funny, man.
You know, I remember I knew some guys. They're like, hey, I know judo, and I said, really? They're like, yeah. You don't know if I'm going to bring a knife, or you don't know if I'm going to bring a gun. Dude. He's like, so you don't know what kind of crazy you're dealing with. So you know,
George St. Pierre always says, he goes, people ask him, he goes, what's the best martial art for self-defense? And he's like, buy a gun and like learn how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's just such a huge advantage. I mean, a mechanical advantage, and you can fire from distance. And
yeah.
But the thing is the issue that people run into is like, let's say you're at a bit close quarters and then someone grabs you. getting that gun out might not be as easy anymore. And I think that's when jiu-jitsu comes into play.
Oh,
more,
yeah.
and like judo or wrestling, just any type of grappling martial art. I always tell people, like, you know, you live in America. If you agree with the gun laws or you don't agree with the gun laws, doesn't really matter. You should own a firearm. I mean, my best friend, I would say he's pretty far left.
Yeah.
And he owns a firearm. It's just one of those things. It's like,
Yeah.
you want to level that playing field. I mean, if you're in the United States, a criminal is probably going to have a firearm. You should probably carry one, you know?
Absolutely.
And, you know, you can agree or disagree. That's perfectly fine with me. But just know that if you don't, then you're going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Absolutely. And I'm all about getting the advantage.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't, honestly, I don't think if you buy one, you're going to be supporting it one way or another. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry already. I don't think it's going to be a drop in the bucket a little bit. But if on principle, if you don't want to get one, that's perfectly fine with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's why we have the police officers. It's why we have first responders, right? But like I said, man, they take a long time to get there.
If you want to wait for that police officer to come,
you can. Hey, my parents' place, our alarm went off. It took them like freaking 15 minutes to show up one time. I mean, someone broke into my parents' house, dude, when they weren't there. That was crazy.
Oh,
we went out of town, and somebody somehow figured out my parents were going out of town and broke in the window, but it took them like 15 minutes
just to show up.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's the whole point of this alarm system we bought? Like,
they're showing up after the fact.
Yeah.
You know,
just here to kind of see if, you know,
here's some paperwork. We need you to fill this out.
Let me look at the crime scene here.
Sorry that you got stabbed,
but hey, so, hey, Omaha police, if you could up that response time, that'd be much appreciated.
Well, for those who know me on this channel, I believe in guns, and I think you should all have one. I think if criminals are having guns, you know, then we should, the good,
for sure,
of law-abiding citizens should have guns.
I took Andrew shooting not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of teaching him how to shoot. I think that was the first time ever shooting.
Yeah,
right?
I shot when I was like a kid, but like I hadn't done any of that before.
It's pretty fun. But
it's a lot of fun.
What was the first thing that we went over? Was safety, right?
Oh yeah,
that's the first thing that you go over whenever you teach someone about firearms. It's like how to handle it. Rule number 1: never have your finger on the trigger until you're ready to fire, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're shooting at when you're shooting, right, and what's beyond it, and then always treat a gun like it's loaded.
Yeah.
And you know, if you follow, I feel like those 3 basic rules. I mean, they have some other ones, but if you follow those 3 basic rules, it's pretty hard to.
Yeah, don't point it at anybody unless you're ready to shoot.
Exactly.
Like,
always have it pointed in a safe direction, right?
Nothing wrong with taking some classes too. Like I know that there's
they should have that.
They do actually. Self-defense.
If you're as a government, you're gonna have your citizens be able to buy and own whatever firearm they want, then they should provide free classes for that. I don't see why taxpayers' money shouldn't go to that. I mean, you'd probably be a lot less incidents because of it.
I think you got something there, but I think the deep state doesn't want us to have guns because we can overthrow the government if they choose to get froggy.
Yeah,
that's true.
I don't want to get too political, but I could see why, you know, some people say, well, you should have it should be like a driver's license.
Yeah,
but then you're restricting, that could be abused. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think there were some issues in California, where some people were trying to buy firearms, but then what they were doing, and it's basically like the same thing, is like to own a certain type of firearm. I can't really remember all the specifics. You had to pay a certain fee. You had to go through the police department, and then you were put on this waiting list that waited you have to over a year.
Oh, dang.
And what was happening was cops that were applying to be on that list to get a concealed carry permit, firemen, judges, anybody in government jobs were getting shot right to the top of that list. And so it was a little bit of a controversy there.
Yeah.
And I could see how that
we can get into California, I
could see how that could be abused a little.
If you guys believe in the First Amendment right, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Are you pro guns or not?
Hey, yeah. No, and if you're not, that's perfectly fine. I would love to hear your opinion.
Suffer and die. If somebody comes after you, suffer and die.
I love talking to those types of people, dude.
Dude.
I love talking to people that disagree with me.
Yeah.
Because I think then it's more interesting.
Yeah.
It's more interesting. I don't like being in the whole echo chamber type thing because I like to hear your opinion because I want to get my mind changed.
Sometimes when I, talk with people that I don't agree with me, I'm okay with it. But if they're I was gonna say something, but it might not be politically correct.
But I think this relates to martial arts. I mean, you probably see it as a coach a little bit for me. Like I love when I'm talking to Andrew and we'll be showing a move. I'm like, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And then he'll straight up tell me, be like, I don't think this particular part's gonna work here. I'm like, well, how can we fix it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of like troubleshooting in martial arts. And if you have like a mindset of this is the way, then I feel like you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Especially because just the UFC started almost, I think, over 30 years ago about now. It's a very new sport and it's constantly evolving. And if you're not like willing to kind of put your ideas on the table and see where there's flaws, then you're going to get left behind. And because some other coach is going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You're going to get left behind and then feel, and then start losing, right? And the whole goal is that when you do martial arts is you want to win. But those losses, you do learn a lot from them, but you do want to win.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Because we're winners.
Right.
And winners win.
You see that?
I can do whatever the heck I want because I'm a winner.
Do you see that in wrestling at all? You know what I'm saying? Like trying to kind of figure out if a move works or not, or
Oh, absolutely. Usually, like wrestling is a little bit more simple, just because the one thing, right?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is complicated.
Jiu-jitsu is so complicated. Like martial arts it's so complicated. Like to be like good at that is there's so many different.
Yeah. So at the GCU MMA Club, we have this guy. His name's Keith Hagan. He trains out of the MMA lab as a black belt. Me and him will do privates with him, and when we doing this, sometimes me and him will be practicing and we'll be looking at each other like. We're like, dude, what is going on right now? We're like,
seriously.
Yeah. We're like, this stuff's all this nuance and little steps. You wouldn't think grappling, you would be pretty straightforward. Just grab them, pin them on the ground, start throwing punches. But it gets very complicated very fast, especially when you go over like how people react. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because people can react in different ways. So then it's like a tree. So you imagine like this is your main move that you're learning. And then as you start learning, okay, this guy does this, but what happens if he does this? Then you go this path. And then all those different paths have different branches and like they keep branching out and it gets just insane. It's one of the reasons why jiu-jitsu is the slowest promoting martial art there is. It takes like 13 years to get your black belt on average.
Yeah.
Which is a huge time commitment. And you have to be training like almost 2 to 3 days a week to probably even get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some black belts don't even know how to wrestle. Like,
dude, you know what's funny is I think during our private one time, you were Keith Hagan was getting ready for ADCC, which is like the Olympics for jiu-jitsu. And during the private, he was like, "All right, Andrew." I was like, I was done. He's like, "All right, Andrew, let's wrestle a little bit," just because Andrew has a ton of experience in wrestling, so he just wanted to get like a bit more of that. And it's one of those parts in jiu-jitsu, wrestling gets a little neglected a little bit.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, tell them about your first white belt tournament. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, so the one I did at GCU, I had another one before that I ended up losing to a wrestler, but I had one at through GCU that I had a lot of success with. Just basically just kind of pure like wrestling, like impulse, whatever, like. It does so much for the sport.
Smothering him, just the pace is just different. Because in jiu-jitsu, you're like more relaxed. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this and this move. It's more elegant. But in wrestling, it's like go, right?
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu, some guys like to lay on their back, which is good. Like there's some techniques there, but it's probably not good MMA. Like
self-defense is definitely not good.
Definitely not good. So it's good to just be like a top player in that regard. Just like you're in a more dominant position there.
Yeah. Do you have any experience in grappling at all?
Yeah, I got beat up by a girl. So one time I was taking jiu-jitsu.
Same.
And there was 10 of us, right? And we were doing this circuit where everyone got a partner in a circle and you wrestled for 60 seconds and then they hit the bell and then you switch partners, right? Yeah. So I'm a little guy. I'm only 5'4",
Mhm.
And all these guys are like 6 foot, and I'm
Yeah.
like, all right. So I'm wrestling with them, and I'm getting tired by the third guy. Fourth guy, I'm tired, but I'm doing all right. And
Mhm.
fifth guy, and then all of a sudden I see this girl who's smaller than me, and here she comes. She's a skinny blonde chick, and I'm like, oh, I take a breather, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be able to finally take a break here.
Right.
And as soon as that bell rang, I'm like
It's a bad
spider
thought.
monkey, like flies behind me,
Yep.
legs wrap around my stomach, an arm around my neck, and everything starts turning white. And I'm like, what the heck?
It's fast too, right?
Dude, within seconds,
The small
within
people are faster.
seconds, I'm like, what the?
Dude,
And I had to tap out like twice.
dude,
And
the smaller people are quicker.
yeah,
It's scary.
she was quick. She was
Fast,
really
right?
quick. And then there was another little guy in there too who was smaller than both of us, the girl
Yeah.
and me, and he was even quicker than she was. And
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck?
People don't think about that. Like, if you're smaller, like, yeah, you might not have a strength advantage, but you're faster.
They're
It's scary,
pretty quick.
especially when you're a big jack. Just, oh, I'm a bodybuilder
A little
guy.
slower.
You're slow,
Dude, you're so slow. And they gas out so fast too. Oh
Yeah,
my
all those
gosh.
muscles, you need
Remember,
supply energy.
I don't want to talk too badly about some of the guys at the GCU MMA, but we had this power lifter. What was his name? Do you remember?
Michael, yeah. He's a
Michael,
beast.
dude, he's a beast. I will say wrestling, doing jiu-jitsu with him was incredibly hard. But I will say, like, after what? He would be done after like one round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 'cause, well,
It's 'cause
powerlifting, you're training to just do
yeah,
one
just-
rep really hard as opposed to like
Gotcha.
you're grappling, like it's an endurance
It's
thing.
endurance
for sure.
thing, yeah. And if you don't have that, then you're gonna be in trouble for sure.
It's sorry. It's funny you mentioned like getting choked out by a girl your first time
Yeah.
grappling, because I had the exact same
Sexy
thing
man.
happen to me.
Yeah.
I was like a high school senior coming off of like wrestling and all that. So I came in with my ego, and then my first like one of my first like roles, I actually got choked out by a chick with a gi as well. Like they were
Yeah.
doing those special gi chokes, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And that kind of made me like honestly fall in love with the sport a little bit. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like it see the whole like the complexity of it, and
It's
all that.
humbling.
It's so humbling. It keeps you humble, and
Yeah.
no, it's such a great sport.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's one of the best things. I think it's one of the healthiest things that someone can do. Is
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu is great in the sense that kickboxing is cool. Like for us, some of your friend takes a video, you get some training, you can video of you hitting pads or hitting the bag, you look cool, you can post it on Instagram. But in my opinion, if you want to go longevity wise, you train jiu-jitsu because you're not getting hit in the head,
Yeah.
right? Of course, you might go home, and if you don't know how to tap, you might mess up your shoulder or your elbow, or your neck might be a little sore. But other than that, if you know how to tap, you know what you're doing, you can train all the way up until like you're in your 70s or 80s. I mean, some of the best jiu-jitsu players that was some of these older guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy that founded the martial art, I think, was practicing it until he died. I mean, he was almost 90 years old.
Oh, dang.
And obviously, you're not going to roll with when you're that experienced and that old, you're not going to roll with the super big, jacked blue belt who's just, coming off the mats trying to prove something. But you definitely, in my opinion, would practice with those higher belts. That's also another misconception people don't understand, is they think you're more likely to get hurt with like the black belts, and like the purple belts and the brown belts, but it's the white belts
because they don't know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah.
And guys, if you have any martial arts questions, self-defense questions, go ahead and put that in the comment section. I see there was a couple people jumping in and out. So if you have any questions, put that in the comments, because we got these guys who are experts in the field of self-defense.
That's a stretch. I will say we do kind of know what we're doing a little bit between the both of us. I would say, what do you think? Combine both of our experiences, like
we might know something combined.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit.
But so Andrew, I know we should probably said this from the beginning, but he's the club captain at the GCU MMA Club.
Oh, okay.
I started the club a while back. I started originally by learning boxing. It's like my first love.
Okay.
I started transitioning to learning mixed martial arts.
So you're throwing them hands first, huh?
Yep, throwing them hands first. What's funny is I actually, what really helped, and I'm sad that I'm about to admit this, but I actually started doing competitive dance when I was in high school, and then that actually transitioned.
I did tap dancing. Have you guys ever done stuff like that?
That actually transitioned really well to boxing. because a lot of like boxing, especially when you're just learning how to punch, is just like almost in a way, it's kind of like choreography. Like you're just, this is your hip turns. You pivot on your foot, you throw this, and so that really helped with like footwork and things like that. So I had a few amateur boxing fights, and then kind of got beat up by a wrestler one time, and I was like, okay, I got to learn how to
wrestle.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about your guys' program at
dude.
GCU, and then how can people get connected with you guys?
Oh, you can follow our Instagram, just GCU MMA Club on Instagram.
Is this only for the students though?
Only for the students.
Okay.
But hey, there's a ton of GCU students there, and it originally started as a self-defense club. So I started it as a self-defense club. It grew, and then we took a year, but kind of convinced GCU to make it into a club sport. And then from a club sport, that's kind of what it is now. So the school kind of has funding behind it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. It was one of those things, man, right from the beginning. It was really hard because, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just had boxing experience. And I mean, 4 guys started it. They left. They like dropped out of school. And I was like, okay, can we hire some instructors? But they're like, no, you have to pay back the mats. And I was like, okay, I better learn some jiu-jitsu and some wrestling. And now I've been doing it for almost 5-6 years now. And so I have a pretty decent understanding of the grappling aspect. Andrew's been super helpful because he has that wrestling background. We're both kind of blue belts in jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't say we're by no means experts in it. We kind of at least have a basic understanding. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that, but Andrew just shook his head. He's like, we are not experts. But we have a basic fundamental understanding of it. And it's enough to where if you're new at GCU, you don't really have a ton of experience. You can come in and learn some things. We also have some higher belts too in the club, like a few purple belts. We also have, like I said, Keith comes by. He helps. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And just this last year, Andrew actually had his first amateur MMA fight. You want to tell him about that a little bit?
Oh,
yeah, no, it was a great experience. Sorry about that.
Tell him about your training camp. Just kind of start from the beginning.
Gosh. Yeah, Sammy put us through it. Me and my boy Ezra. He was training with me because he was doing the fight as well. Yeah, no, Sammy would put us through these 5-hour practices of like intense cardio. We'd be doing all these crazy things.
I wouldn't say it was 5 hours. That's a little crazy.
We had some 4 hours.
Yes,
for sure.
A lot of it was, I would say right around 3, just because it was kind of like we're cramming a little bit. I mean, there's just a lot to go over. I want to make sure you guys were fully prepared. And when we say that it was long practices, a lot of that was drilling. It wasn't like super high intensity, but there was like, I would say a good half hour to an hour of just high intensity work. Yeah. But a lot of that was just a lot of drilling and stuff. And that's the way you want to do it, is just rep. Get it down. Oh, what happens if this guy does this guy does that? And then you kind of react based off of that. But you want to talk him and Ezra, who's this, and he's in Hawaii right now, but they got together Tuesday, Thursdays, and went on runs and strength and conditioning. You want to talk about that? They went on runs together. They were running garages, man. Talk about your mile time. That was super impressive. You got your mile time down to like 5 minutes, dude.
Yeah, we were doing these 2-mile runs, and we ended up we had like a sub 6-minute pace for our 2-mile runs for like each mile. So we were pretty proud of that because it was something we kind of worked towards. And then we also did this like parking garage thing where we would sprint up the ramps to the parking garage, and then we would like jog around and then sprint up the ramp. And like it sounds kind of easy when I explain it, but it was so hard, like sprinting full pace up that ramp.
Yeah,
I felt like it kind of mimicked a fight pretty well too. With like the high intensity moments, then there's kind of like you're chilling, but you're still like
fighting.
Yeah, right. So I think that was a pretty good thing we implemented as well.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Nuka MMA. So if you don't know this, it's actually a cool thing that's going on is this organization I fought for them before COVID. It's owned by Owen Rowdy. It's basically an amateur MMA league, but it's only for college students, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're a college student, so they get all these college clubs around the United States. They fly all us out there, which is super cool, right? We went out to West Virginia. We flew out there. They got us hotel rooms. Yeah, dude, they treated us super nice. It was like, you don't, as an amateur fighter, you never really get that type of treatment, right? Which was super cool, right? And they flew us all out there. They, you know, you fight in your amateur fight, and then they fly you home, and you know, you have a bunch of cool stories and experience that you can tell your friends about, and just as a amateur fighter, you want to get competitions. That's like the best way to get better really quickly.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So if you're a student, then you can go to GCU.
Yeah.
Join the GCU MMA Fight Club, right?
Not Fight Club,
okay.
It's MMA Club, yes.
Okay, the MMA Club. And then if you're not a student and you want to come down to Knockout Fitness, you can go to any one of your nearest Knockout Fitness clubs.
I'm off Bell Road. You guys can come down, say hi, say what's up.
53rd Avenue.
I always will offer a free private training session for anybody that comes in, right? We can go
there it is.
Some pads for 30 minutes, and have some fun.
And then I'm working out of there myself, and I'm training actually to open up a Knockout Fitness out in Tempe, down the street from ASU. And so we'll probably be 1.5 miles away from ASU.
Yeah.
And then there's a Dutch Bros in front of our store.
There you go.
So you can get your coffee or your energy drink.
One stop shop, baby.
There it is. There's a Fry's across the street, so you can get your food there too, and start tracking
the Knockout Fitnesses are actually really nice, right? Like he's come to them a couple times. Like they're, you know, right, the weight training room.
I've been to a few different locations actually. I went to some over by where I live in Queen Creek.
Oh yeah.
And there's some nice ones. It was like, I don't know if it was maybe Gilbert or something like that, but they're pretty consistent at all of them. They have very nice stuff.
Yeah. Ring, workout equipment, treadmill,
everything you need.
Heavy bag, speed bag. They have, in some locations, even have like double end bags and uppercut bags and things like that. So they kind of just, like I said, you go there. It's pretty nice. You have everything you need.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed is that, you know, I was doing bodybuilding before I came out to Knockout Fitness, and I've always had trainers, and I'll have a trainer that will be, you know, I'll be practicing maybe 3 hours a week, going to the weight training. And I noticed whenever I didn't have a trainer, I would loosen my discipline.
Yes.
And I just come in maybe every now and then, periodically, maybe do 30 minutes instead of an hour. And I noticed that I wasn't getting the results on my own.
Right.
Even though I thought, because I knew how to do it, that I would be able to push myself. And I could, but there's just something about having someone to work with, a trainer, someone to motivate you, inspire you, help you to do what you can't see. And I think that's important.
Right there. I mean, how valuable was that just getting ready for your fight camp, Andrew?
If I didn't have Ezra, it would be kind of hard because there's a few days where I was like, I don't want to do this. But then he texts me in the morning. He's like, hey, bro, we going for a run today? I'm like, yep, we are. Yeah. So I couldn't have trained nearly as hard without him. So
absolutely.
Shout out to Ezra.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, he had it. We'll show it. We'll send it to you, but maybe you could put it on here when you edit this. But he had like a viral spinning back kick in this fight. It was crazy.
Is it on YouTube?
It's on Instagram.
And YouTube.
Do you want me to show? I can show you right now, real quick. I don't know. Should I or should I wait?
I mean, you could. I would. I can see if I can pull it up. Yeah.
If you go to Instagram,
let me
see.
It's here.
Hilarious. It has over 5.2 million views on Instagram.
Okay,
let's see. It's funny because in the video he asked the ref if he can hit this technique right before the fight, and then it cuts, and then he just boom nails this guy with a spinning back kick.
Really?
It was planned. It was something that we planned for. There was some confusion on the rules a little bit because we have a few different people from the organization tell us different things about that specific technique. So when we got there, I was like, Ezra, this is what you do. You're gonna walk out there. The ref's gonna put Vaseline on you, and he's gonna check like your mouth guard and everything. Just ask and see if it's okay. And then it turned into a viral Nuka. So NUCA. NUCA MMA. MMA. It's right there. Yep. First thing. Yep. So scroll down.
Probably
Scroll down. That one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll share this with you guys. If you guys are watching, let's go.
Such a sick moment.
Oh yeah. No. Definitely the highlight of the event.
Oh yeah. No, everyone was talking about it. They're like, that's crazy.
Here we go. All right, let's play it. You have if you want to hear it, you can put your headphones on.
Sure.
It might be
It's
too
a
loud
short
though.
clip, but yeah, I can throw them on real quick.
All right.
I know how. I got it.
Oh, y'all ready for this?
Go for
it. Here we go.
Do spinning heel kick? Yeah. As long as you stay legal. Can do spinning
Isn't
heel
that
kick?
awesome?
I want to say that one more time.
As long as you stay legal.
Oh. And then you hear everybody like, oh,
Everyone's
dang.
like, oh. Dude, I was going crazy too. I mean, how hype was that? Dude?
Oh, so hype.
Me and him were in his corner, so we were just going nuts the whole time. Like anytime he'd land like a huge shot, we we're just like, oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Dude.
Ezra was a freak. He could do the splits and stuff like that. He's super flexible, and those kicks are hard to hit. Yeah, it takes a lot of accuracy.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. That was something we prepared though for. Like if you check us out on our Instagram, we it was if you look at his highlight reel, like during training that was something that we're playing for. Originally though, the guy we were watching, because the guy he fought had a previous fight, and he was super uncomfortable against the cage. So what he would end up doing is he would get against the cage, turn, and then run. So what we would do is the plan is when he'd get against the cage and turn and run, he would run right into that spinning heel kick.
so it's even worse. Like
yes. But when it ended up happening was we followed the game plan. Game plan first round was just low kicks only. And then second round go up high. And it's kind of funny because Ezra did get a little emotional, but it ended up working out. The guy goes for a glove touch, and he kind of or Ezra goes for a glove touch, right?
Yep.
The guy kind of swats his hand away, like, get out of here. And Ezra's like, all right, bro, I'm going to spin and I'm going to hit you with this. Watch out. And he just does it, which was gnarly because anybody that does any martial arts knows that trying to hit a spinning kick in open space is really hard.
Yeah.
Because how you avoid it is all you do is just move backwards.
Yeah.
And you're out of range, right? Especially because it's a big wind up. So when you wind up for it, it's a big tell. So you just kind of move backwards.
You can almost see it coming.
Yeah. But when you have that cage on your back, it's really hard because you can't move back. You have to either run this way. And if you're running one way, you're committing to it. You're committing to that going that direction usually.
Yeah.
So you're going to run right into that.
That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. And on the Instagram, if you watch his reel, there's like a highlight reel of his fight. And Ezra's actually he's a super popular kid at GCU.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a video. Do you want to pull that up?
This one?
Just scroll up, type into the GCU MMA Club.
GCU MMA.
Yeah.
Let's see.
He has a bunch of friends. It's kind of funny. I made a reel, and his buddies react to the spinning heel kick, and then all his friends were in like a college at GCU dorm, and they're all like, as soon as he landed, they're like, and just going crazy.
Which one is it?
Space Club, or do you type in club?
Club?
Yep.
MMA Club?
Yep. There it is.
Okay. Let's pull it up.
And we can look at Andrew's too. That's Ezra's.
This one?
Yep.
Okay, so let's play
kind of
this.
show people what the GCU MMA Club's about.
Okay.
So that's a knockout, right?
Oh yeah.
We're practicing.
Down like a new first flat. When the guava fall into the big stay fat. The skin and deep on them, put them nasty in my pack. We smoke and lead choice in the back. Me and Mr. Shady, all we do is laugh. We roll up that stash, collect the cash. Now I'm on the dash, hoping the real life flash. Hey, here we go again on that
Here it is. Boom.
Oh, this.
Watch this.
With Master Troy on the weekend. Ooh, here we go again on that blue from my lipstick to the
No hype.
It was so
That's what that shit did to me.
That's the way we do it on the silent Molokai. We jump in the water, put the yellow
Have you ever been to a live
jump
fight?
on the rocks.
No.
All the
Really?
no.
I wanted to go see I wanted to go see Joseph
Yeah.
on Saturday. Did you go?
Mm,
Oh,
but
okay.
I heard what happened.
Yeah, he didn't.
Unfortunately, didn't win. But I didn't want to go because, look, I'm not like I didn't know the guy super well from the lab.
Uh-huh.
But I've been training at the lab for like 5 years, and that's the guy who was
Oh,
fighting.
gotcha.
And like I said, I didn't know him super well. He's on the fight team. I'm not on the fight team, so I don't know him very well. But just out of like respect, I just was like, I'm not going to root for either guy.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's understandable.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I did hear what happened and heard that Joseph got taken down a couple of times. That kind of
Yeah.
the tide of the fight just a little bit. And that grappling heavy style in MMA is probably the best style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did get to see some of the clips because somebody was
Yeah.
recording while they were there, and he looked like he did okay though.
Yeah.
You know,
no, he
he-
did good.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
a split decision. It was close.
Yeah, and he didn't get socked up. You know what
No,
I mean?
he
He
didn't
didn't
get-
drop
no one
any
got
blood.
pieced
So
up.
Yeah.
But it's just like if Andrew, you didn't obviously didn't see it, but it was very like the guy just kind of smothered him a little bit with takedown.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he did a good job the first round defending, getting back up is what I heard. And
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, when you have that grappling heavy style,
That's what it did
It
look
just-
like. Was the guy was just like holding him down, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know.
and well, unfortunately, that's just the nature of the sport. If you can do that, you win.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's hard to do anything if you're being
You
held
know,
down, right? Yeah.
this is kind of funny because this brings up a conversation that we all, me, Ezra, that you guys just watched, and then Andrew, we all had getting ready for his fight. Do you remember that conversation? Ezra was like, "Hey, I was like, hey, what's your game plan? What do you guys think? How do you want to win this thing?" They're like, Ezra's like, "I'm gonna knock him out." And then I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because the problem with that is at the amateur level, like knockouts are pretty rare. I heard there was a couple finishes last night, like that do happen, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's the nature of fighting. But if you look at like the statistics wise, like majority of wins are decisions and submissions.
Mm-hmm.
And your goal should be to win every round, in my opinion. Because
Yeah.
if your goal is to go out there and just counterpunch them or like knock them out like with a really good shot, it can work sometimes, especially if you're like really, really, really good at it. You're very talented.
Like Chuck Liddell.
Yeah. Well, but that's the problem is most people that go in that game, it's one of those things that it's either you have it or you don't. A little
Yeah.
bit. Like you can train and you can train to try to get better at it.
Yeah.
But to have that knockout power and to also just have that timing and athleticism it's one of those things that you can train, but it's just really hard to do.
Yeah.
Your goal should just be win every round.
Mm.
So your strategy is huge. And that was a conversation that I had with Ezra. I was like, "Hey, dude, you should not try to knock this guy out. You should be trying to win every single round." And that's what he ended up doing, and he won.
Yeah.
So results speak for themselves. Andrew's fight went a bit differently, though. Do you want to tell him about that?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of we went, and then I threw an overhand punch to a takedown, and then I took him down, and then I basically won after that point because I just got in the mount and just started punching him. A bunch.
Yeah. The thing is, dude, is Andrew's such a good wrestler, and the counter that is so hard. Dude, me and
Yeah.
him spar, and I like. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm not a great wrestler, but I do like know some good wrestling defense. My jiu-jitsu on bottom is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
But dude, he'll just get on top and smother me like and not let me up. And it's annoying. But and especially if you're a striker too, and you're like, I feel like I'm a better striker than this guy. But then you just get on the ground, you get smothered.
Yeah.
And that's why that grappling is just so strong. That's
Heck
why
yeah.
it's a great self-defense. Like if we're talking here, we're talking self-defense. It's start with grappling.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
start with grappling. And then, learn some kickboxing.
Yeah.
Come to knockout.
Come to knockout.
Hey, and you can even come to knockout. There's a lot of instructors that know what they're doing in the grappling department too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll hook you up with some private training.
Absolutely. So we're coming up on the hour mark. We
Right.
got a few more minutes. So do you guys have any fights that are coming up that you guys are going to be in?
I think the next thing on the docket for the GCU MMA Club is just grappling tournament.
Okay.
And then after that, I think we're going to be this year. We haven't even started yet.
Nope.
But we're going to get started here soon. We have a lot of returners. That's kind of the problem that we've always had is we always say people should have about a 1 to 2 semesters of training before they even consider competing.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we just don't get it. Some years we don't get a lot of returners, but this year we did get a lot. And I think we're going to have a lot of competitions this year, which is really exciting.
Nice. Heck yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming on the pod. And for those who are watching, I'm going to be dropping Trevor McCumbee was just on the podcast yesterday. We'll probably be dropping the video either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And he got a fight that's coming up September the 14th. It's going to be on pay-per-view.
Dude, I'm so excited.
I think he's the first or the second fight before oh man, who's the main event? It's
I don't know.
It's oh my god,
I'm blanking on it too.
Oh man, I forgot the guy's
we
name.
can always look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up. Why not?
Well, I mean, since we're on the pod,
right? Might as well.
Canelo.
I
didn't even. Yeah, there we go. I can't believe why that slipped my mind.
I think,
but he's 1 or 2 fights before the Canelo fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch a lot of boxing?
I don't, but I do want to see Mike Tyson knock out Jake Paul. I do want to see that. If you want to see Mike Tyson knock out Jake Paul, leave a comment down below.
Yes, please.
You know, we were talking about that, and I've heard some mixed comments on that. Like Mike Tyson, obviously one of the top 10 heaviest hitters of all time.
Yep.
But he is 60.
Yes.
And he does have some age on him.
Yep.
He's still a beast.
Yeah, there's no doubt there. I mean,
but he's fighting someone that's literally more than half his age.
Yeah.
Is that dangerous?
That's exactly how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Okay. That's
in my opinion, it's near criminal. Should never be allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because Jake Paul could still hurt Mike
Tyson. Fought Evander Holyfield recently. Who was that? Do you remember? Was it
I don't.
Who was that?
I think Mike and another boxer did like an expedition.
Someone fought Evander Holyfield recently and just got like KO'd, I'm pretty sure, right? It's not super recent, but Evander Holyfield, somewhat recent. I know it's a hard name, right? Last fight.
Evander Holyfield.
Last fight, right? Did he fight like an MMA fighter?
I don't know.
And then just got destroyed.
Last fight.
Yep, that's what it was. Vitor Belfort.
Oh.
Vitor Belfort. And I'm pretty sure he knocked him out.
Who knocked out who?
Vitor Belfort.
Got knocked out?
No, knocked out Evander Holyfield.
Oh, okay.
Because Evander Holyfield's like really like as old as Mike, pretty much, right?
Oh, yeah. They're pretty close in age.
Right. So there's case in point right there.
Mike Tyson still looks crazy though.
I love Mike Tyson and he's great. Like if I got to meet him, it'd be probably for sure one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah.
Like I have no doubt. But there's a reason why that doesn't really happen, or you never really heard that happening.
Yeah.
Until now is because it's just extremely dangerous and unprofessional in my opinion.
What is kind of cool is I mean, he got another chance to get it almost reminds me of the Rocky movie,
right? But
it's not a movie. They're gonna be throwing hands.
Yeah. So the older you get, maybe you can comment on this. I mean, he's studying to be a doctor, and obviously he's still an undergrad. But I'm pretty sure the more older you get, the more susceptible you are to getting concussed, right?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Getting concussions, and especially if you have you've been knocked out previously in your career, and you have all those head trauma. There's a certain age that you don't want to keep sparring.
Yeah.
Like for me, I know I'm probably going to be done at 35, 40.
Oh, okay.
Because I want
real competition fighting.
Well, just that and also sparring.
Oh, okay.
I might do light sparring.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm done after that.
Gotcha.
Because I want to be able to not have
any brain injuries.
Significant brain injuries. I want to get out somewhat unscathed. I mean, I've seen it. It is there. It's one of those things when you want to compete And not everybody wants to compete. If you don't want to compete, that's fine. You can still spar and you probably will get out scot-free. But if you're going to compete, the risk is a lot higher, and you have to know that going in that, you know, there's a chance of long-term brain damage.
Yeah.
It's
Same thing with like NFL football.
Football's the worst, actually.
Yeah, getting them concussions.
No, I did that was my capstone for my bachelor's degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was talking about the difference between like combat sports and football and like soccer. And well, soccer is not as bad as football.
Yeah, I mean, you're kicking the ball around.
Well, you don't think about this, but they those headers they do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's actually bad.
Hitting the ball with your head.
It's not good. Yeah, no. It's like not as, you would be surprised where it would be rank on the concussion list of sports.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, like because all the headers that they do. Think about it. I don't know how much soccer you guys know, but you cross a ball into the center of the field, and then you usually will try to hit a header in the net, and they practice that stuff all the time.
Oh, gotcha.
And those, I don't know if you know, but how hard and fast those balls get kicked, dude. And you're just putting your head in front of it. That is not good.
You don't want to use your head for a punt.
Yes, but no, football is worse. Just statistically speaking.
Yeah.
Boxing's pretty close though. Unfortunately, in boxing, the main focus is on the head and the body.
Yeah.
So there's just not a ton of room and you know what really makes it a lot worse is the fact that you get knocked down and then you get a 10-second count.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's one big misconception is people watch MMA and then they see someone get knocked down and then someone jump on top of them and just, boom, boom, and just finish them. I'd rather have that than get knocked down and then get a 10-second count and then I make it out of the round. And then now I just get beat up the next whole round and same thing happens basically.
Okay.
When you give that 10 seconds to recover, I mean, they're basically, when you get knocked down, you're getting concussed.
Oh, okay.
That's almost as bad as getting a knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
And that happens all the time, boxing.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, That's why it's a risk.
It's all risky.
It's all
risk. But winners win.
Winners win. Yeah. Hey, if you don't know risk, no reward.
Bigger the risk, bigger the reward.
Man, exactly.
That's what I always say.
But football is a little bit more dangerous just because it's just the amount of practicing that they do.
Yeah.
And they're,
I think I was watching a documentary on that and they were saying,
I think it's
like it's literally like a 4 or less year career and you're done.
It's like 2 or 3 years. It's pretty short
before something crazy happens.
Well, I think they implemented some new rules somewhat recently about like you can't spear with the helmet.
Oh,
I'm not a huge football guy. I could be messing this up completely, but
no, they did change some stuff.
Yeah,
they did
to make it a little safer, and we'll see how that plays out.
I think because there was I think people were getting so much head concussions, and then later in years,
I mean, they're
just destroyed.
Think about how many football games, practices, scrimmages you're doing if you're a football player.
Yeah.
And think about if you're in one of those positions where you're like a lineman or something.
Oh yeah.
Every play, yeah.
Yeah, every play. It's boom, boom, car crash. That's not good.
You're getting done. You're done.
Yeah.
Stick a fork in it, grandma.
The thing is it's when it comes to martial arts, it's just all about how you spar. Like you want to keep things playful and you're not going to get hit as bad. And you could get through a whole sparring session and just the whole thing was fun and playful and
you're
not getting hit hard like once. It's when the egos come into play. That's when things start to go bad.
We did have to pick up the pace a little bit when we were training for our fight. That was one thing. It was the kind of sparring I wasn't used to, but it was fun. And it's good to do every once in a while, like when you're competing.
Isn't it
obviously
so much different?
It is, yeah.
It's weird, the difference. Like when you just pick up, you're actually, I wouldn't say you're trying to hurt each other, but you are going hard.
Yeah.
Because you want to feel that before. You don't want the first time that you feel that to be when you compete. That's really bad.
In the ring.
Yes. And I'm sure that was just kind of a lot different. I think, didn't you say you were training over at Ethos and you got dropped one time?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? Because that was probably the first time you ever got dropped, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in wrestling, you hit heads, you like do the collar tie, whatever, but like Yeah, no, I got like punched, and then I kind of like my legs gave out a little bit.
Have you ever been hit and then like your legs just stop working?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you been knocked out before?
I have been knocked out before. One time, it wasn't a fight. I was a little hoodlum, and I was drinking. I was
making bad
drinking.
decisions.
I was making bad decisions.
Yep.
And I was chasing someone around a complex with a baseball bat.
Dude,
and the
you're
police,
crazy.
the police showed
I'm
up,
just kidding.
in which they should have.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I didn't get shot or tasered.
Yeah.
And they put handcuffs on me, and they were walking me to the car.
Yeah.
And the guy was grabbing my arm really tight, and I was like, "You don't have to grab my arm that tight." And I kind of like just this.
Dude, I have so many fun stories
little
like
thing.
that.
The cop literally picked me up, MMA, not MMA style, but wrestling style,
like a double leg, just
like
pick up your legs.
WWE style. Flipped me up, my legs are dangling in the air, and my hands are handcuffed behind me, straight down to the cement. Yeah,
you could have died.
I could have. Luckily, I turned my face right before I hit the cement, and I hit my side, and I was out for a little bit, but I came to, and then I was like, "What the heck?" And I just remember the cop that was with him was like, "Dude, why'd you do that?" And then
bit of a dramatic response.
Yeah. And then they wheeled me in to jail. But at that point, you're like,
dude, do you mind if can we quickly talk about cops and how they should train jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just a little bit. I don't know how
he
long
was
you
training something.
but, dude, do you know that they did this study where they gave this to dude, sometimes I will say that whole like defund police probably had a little bit of like what am I trying to say? Like a little bit of truth to it, because
I don't know. I'm not mad at the guy. And I was totally in the wrong.
No, can I just explain why?
Yeah.
It's not so much that we need to fund them. It's just like, where's the money is going in the wrong places. Like there's a great example where there is this cop department that was trying to, I was listening to a podcast of this Navy SEAL guy, and he was saying how they bought like $10,000 per like night vision goggles for each person in the department.
And there's no reason for that.
Yeah. And they wanted to but they didn't want to spend like the money for the proper training for it. They didn't want to pay this guy. And he was just like, why are you even buying? Like, you don't even need them.
That's just bad management. That's what that is.
Well, yeah. But the problem, so they did this study, like on my previous thought, I think it was in Texas. I don't know what city, but they basically had these cops. They spent like $20,000, which is like a drop in the bucket for some of these departments, and to train all their guys in jiu-jitsu, all their officers. So they ended up saving over $100,000 in their yearly budget because they had a lot less people sue.
Oh, okay.
So usually they have this. So every department, I'm pretty sure, has this set amount of money that they use in case for lawsuits. Which makes sense. But they saved $100K.
Yeah.
Because there was like over a 60% decrease in like incidents.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Things going really bad.
Yeah.
And what jiu-jitsu really teaches you is like control.
Yeah.
Control.
I think that police officers should beat the crap out of criminals. I think they should. Take them and flip them and hit them on the cement,
dude.
I think they should be giving out concussions.
No, I disagree a little.
I'm
bit.
A Mexican for Trump. No,
I disagree a little bit.
Wall. Probably depends on the situation, right?
It depends on. Well, you have a level of escalation, right?
Yeah,
right, and you just try to match that. Well, in jiu-jitsu, what's amazing is that you could basically just. I mean, Andrew, what's it like rolling with like a white belt?
Depends on the white belt. It depends on their athleticism. But.
True, but like, what's it like? Like,
well, you feel like you like
you could just
a whole nother thing. Yeah, you can kind of just do what you want, depending on their athleticism.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. When like I said, me and Andrew, we're not experts in jiu-jitsu, but when we roll with somebody who's new, it's usually the same story, unless they're like really big or strong or athletic. There is a difference then.
Yeah,
but for the most part, it's basically just feels like you can just do anything you want.
Yeah.
And if you're a cop and you have that skill, like
Yeah, I think they should be knocking these guys out. And
Dude,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Why though?
Knock them out, beat the crap out of them, and then let them go home. Like, hey,
What are they learning?
they're learning. Don't mess with the police and quit
That's
being a
like,
criminal.
But then then you have all these problems with like people getting killed and.
Because think about it. If you touch a hot stove and you burn yourself,
No, I understand.
you realize
your
it's
point.
hot. You mess around and find out.
No, I understand your point.
So you think they won't like do it again if they get like hit on the head the first time? Is that
Sometimes, hey,
sure?
you get
I
hit a
see what
couple.
you're saying.
You get hit a couple times, just like when people fight, like like the bully, right? Is bullying everybody, and then all of a sudden someone finally stands up and knocks them out, and then he's like, "Crap."
You do have a somewhat of a point, but what I'm gonna argue is that when it comes to reform for criminals, there's other places that do it a lot better.
Oh
than here in
yeah,
the States.
yeah.
Well, the thing is if you're doing that to a criminal, like, yeah, they might be like, oh, I don't want that to happen again, or are they gonna escalate? In my opinion, it's gonna be more like if you put in the context of a sparring session, because if now all the cops come out gung-ho and they escalate the situation, then the next time the criminal, instead of thinking, I'm not going to do that again, this time I'm going to bring a gun. And then if he tries to do that to me, I'm going to shoot him, kill him. And so like, I think in my opinion, if you have the police officer escalate the situation, then the criminal is going to escalate.
See, I'm not saying the police officers are supposed to escalate. I'm saying someone's already escalated. Just shut it down. Shut it down
with jujitsu. Put them in cuffs.
Well,
super gentle, and then it's more embarrassing. How embarrassing is it to just have somebody control you and then you?
Do you guys believe that cops should beat the crap out of criminals? Because I do. Leave it in the chat.
Well, who do you think? I mean, do you put in the chat if you agree with me?
Yeah. Put it in the chat.
Yeah, but how embarrassing though is it when you were like kind of not embarrassing, but like an ego, like you're like, oh, when that girl like just controlled you and just kind of did whatever she wanted. And
yeah, I mean, it's humiliating, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And when if you're a criminal, like, dude, you're gonna be like, I don't want to feel that ever again. I mean, they're all egocentric, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
How many aren't most criminals kind of narcissistic? I mean, you kind of break them mentally speaking, in the sense that I imagine they just like got controlled by this guy who, like, imagine a girl cop who's like really small, just does whatever she wants with this like big guy, big criminal. I mean, he would probably go to jail and just be like, probably rethink everything. And she just like gently, like,
I don't think you can gently.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, you think so,
dude? You should do a couple jiu-jitsu classes. Hey, I know this. I train at the lab, and Benson Henderson's wife, Maria Henderson, I've rolled with her. She's a black belt.
Yeah,
she's like only maybe like $115, dude. Like really,
she's small. Gently slamming people.
Dude, she's choking me out. She does whatever she wants. Like, I've seen her roll with a lot of like a lot of people that are a lot bigger than her, and she just destroys them.
Yeah.
It's just her technique's better. Now, I will say, once you get past about the 100 pounds difference, then you start running into problems for sure.
Yeah.
But if your technique is solid and you have a ton of experience, then you can probably beat, I would say, 90% of the population.
Yeah.
Just on technique alone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you're a cop and that's your job, to just kind of subdue people and take them to jail, that's a great skill to have.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Why wouldn't you want to have that?
I
don't understand. What, you want 10,000 night vision?
No, I'd rather have them trained.
I'd rather have jiu-jitsu, dude. That's more of a superpower than
to softly grind their face in the cement. So I'm no longer a criminal, so
okay,
I can say that now.
Did you go to jail?
Oh yeah, I've been to jail like 5 times.
Dude, what happened?
I finally went to Tent City, and I wore the pink jumpsuit, and I was out in the middle of summer, and Joe made it real hard for us. And I said, you know what? I don't.
Your life around?
Huh?
How'd you change your life around?
I changed my. Actually, it was God in rehab.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's
and amazing. so I do believe that there should be more rehab programs like that. Yeah. But 14 days right? in Tent City literally was
I've heard bad things about that place.
It was I was in there.
Yeah, I heard that it's just like because it's the heat, right?
Oh yeah.
There's no air.
They should bring it back. They should bring it. I believe in capital punishment. I believe that the crime should. If you don't want to do the time, and don't do the crime. There got to be consequences.
No, of course. There should 100% be consequences for your actions.
Like if somebody comes in and disrespects my wife in front of me, there's going to be consequences.
But what's your goal though?
What do you mean?
Like what's your goal? Like what do you want the outcome to be? Do you want the outcome to be that you're trying to have this person reintegrate into society, or do you want your goal to be?
There needs to be a come to Jesus moment.
Because I don't know. It's like one of those things. If you go too harsh on the punishment side, then are they really going to learn from that, or are they going to be more inclined to escalate?
Each individual is different, right?
That's true.
And so lower IQ, higher IQ, it's going to be different. But the punishment should match the crime, regardless. And if someone's an idiot and they keep touching the stove, they're going to keep touching it until their hand is unable to be you can't use it anymore. Yeah. And there's unfortunately a lot of people that have to touch the stove until they no longer have a hand.
I think the biggest problem is there's just a mental health crisis right now, because did you know in the 60s and 70s, I think there was like it was like something like 300.
Oh, look at it. Someone just said that right now.
Yeah, there's like 300.
Thank you, Jennifer.
There's like 300 inpatient beds per citizen in the United States.
Yeah. What's a big contributing factor to the mental illness?
What?
The foods we eat.
And
I
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the foods we eat, the chemicals that we have in our bodies that are the unhealthy stuff that's in our house, the stuff that happens when people are in the womb, and the food that the mother's eating, the medicines that we're getting, the toxic, the metals.
Andrew might have some more insight to that. I keep hearing things about like microplastics. Is that like a real thing?
Yeah, I've heard it's a thing for like testosterone and stuff.
I think it kills it, right?
Yeah. I think the main thing for the mental health stuff, in my opinion, is the internet, honestly. Just social media and stuff like that. True. It makes crazy people crazier and it makes normal people crazy, it seems like.
That's so true, actually. Don't you think that's fair?
What?
Just doom scrolling, being on like Instagram and just
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
TikTok brain.
Oh yeah.
Brain rot, right?
Brain rot, yeah.
TikTok
dude,
brain.
I have such a problem with that sometimes. I'll like especially on my days off. Like that's why I like to stay busy, because when I'm not busy, I'm just like doing stuff like that, like just wasting my life away, just doom scrolling, not really being super productive.
Yeah.
That's why I like to have a busy schedule. Like I like to be training, I like to be working, I like to be kind of training my dog or going to the park. I'd hate if I have, let's say if it's like a day where I'm inside, I'm stuck inside. I hate that, because I feel like I'm just going to doom scroll and
you'll go insane.
Thank you, Jennifer. She crafts behavioral treatment plans professionally.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tailoring them according to cognitive capacity. I think that's awesome. I think we need more programs like that. I'm going to get real controversial. I think a lot of mental health problems are demon possessions. And I think that
that's a wild take.
Demon possessions are real. In the United States, in the West, we put our demon possessed people in mental institutions, and in other countries, they deal with. They're like, hey, that guy's demon possessed.
In the Bible, didn't they really? Is it the idea that demons are more not somewhat like actual demons? Like it's more like your past and like your trauma, kind of.
No. No, Jesus cast out demons.
I always interpret it that way.
Like there's the kid with epilepsy.
Yeah.
That was a demon.
You think that's a demon?
No, it says it. It said he was demon possessed. And then Jesus cast it out. And
but there's a medical explanation for it, right? Or no?
So this is my personal belief.
I mean, yeah, you can.
The body reacts to the demon possession. So say a demon is possessed somebody.
Yeah.
And then they hook up their brain. Their levels have now changed. Their brain has now changed because the demon is physically manipulating their body. And then they get filled with other chemicals to try to counterbalance what's happening in the body. And then then you just have a medicated demon.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell
You
you
can
something?
tell me anything.
I think you'd fit in perfectly at GCU, brother.
Yeah. Well, I've been to other countries and I've seen demon possessions and I've seen people get free of them.
I think
So
isn't that didn't they explain that with was it called mass hysteria?
That's the thing.
That was one of it, right? Like a super famous where like a whole school of girls, right? Like a only girls school got like, even including the teachers, they all thought they were possessed and going crazy. And I think they explained that away with mass hysteria.
I mean, you can explain everything away.
Yeah, there's absolutely some mental illness cases that are not demon possessions, but
No. Let me ask you.
Sure.
Do you know that definitively?
Absolutely not. I don't know anything.
You know, that's fair. You know, I had a professor that basically made us just question everything. I think it was more of like Socrates' way of like teaching. I can't remember. I could be butchering that, but he basically was. Oh, he'd be like, we'd give a presentation on like something simple like the tectonic plates, and he's like, okay, and we're like, okay. He's like, how do you know the tectonic plates are there? And he goes, oh well, they did like measuring these earthquakes. This is what the data showed. He goes, but have you been down there? Have you seen it? Like, no. And then like, you know, and then you kept going down that rabbit hole. And like, if you really think about it, you can almost say that for almost anything.
Yeah. Like I seen there's a guy, I had him on the pod. He had hepatitis C, right?
Mm-hmm.
From shooting up in his,
right.
Because he was a needle user, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff doesn't go away.
No.
And he went to church one day and the pastor called him out of a crowd, said, God's giving you new blood. Starts praying for him, right?
Yeah.
And he's had multiple tests, not just one.
Okay.
Documents that he has he has hepatitis C. Goes back to the hospital, gets tested, clear. And they're like, oh, we made a mistake. And he's like, wait a minute, I have multiple tests from multiple different places.
That's actually wild. You know, that could be they did this psychological study that
So you think the brain cured him?
Dude, it's actually wild. Stuff like that happens. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Like people with different diseases, they give them like a placebo pill and tells them that it's going to cure this disease or something like that. And their levels get so low that it's like almost undetectable in tests.
So you don't think God does that stuff?
No, I'm not saying God. It could be God.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that there is an explanation for that.
What about you, Andrew? Do you believe God still does that stuff today?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle ground between you two guys. Obviously, we have controls in scientific studies to keep it normal, because if you give someone a pill, you tell them it's going to do this, so they're going to believe it. They're going to have faith in that, and some good things might happen. But I think Jesus heals, absolutely, and I think that people can also get better scientifically, but definitely both of them would be optimal, right?
You know why I don't believe that a lot of Christians today don't see healings?
Why?
Same reason it says
for it.
In the Bible, Jesus says he could barely do any great miracles in his own town because of their lack of faith. And in the West, we have such a scientific mind that we're like, oh, no, that's explainable. God doesn't do that.
Absolutely. I could see that.
I could just give me a pill.
Yeah, right.
Just give me medicine.
I hear that's why I have had friends that have like done missions and stuff in Africa, and they've told me like some very crazy stories.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I get those in those countries, those third world countries, like people have more faith. Some crazy things do happen. Like Jesus will do things as well and stuff like that. So I definitely think that stuff happens. And it doesn't happen as much in America for whatever reason. Maybe it's because of that.
Because we put them in mental institutions.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the opposite, actually.
You think so?
Well, so no, I think the problem that we have is like, especially like for homeless people, is the fact that we don't have those inpatient beds for the people that are mentally ill.
Yeah.
So they're just out on the street, self-medicating with drugs and alcohol. And
I think they're prime example for demons.
It's funny.
Because they're opening themselves up,
actually, but
and they're destroying their brain.
Family friend, their son basically died. He was out on the street, and he just like, they tried so many times to like help him, and it's not like this family friend, it's like his parents were like somewhat wealthy, like they had money, they tried to help, they tried to get him off the drugs and alcohol, but he just didn't want to. And it was, in my opinion, it seemed like more of a mental health problem, and he just didn't have the resources to get help. And that's so sad to me. Like, the fact that we live in a country that doesn't have take that as seriously as we should. You know what I mean? Like now it's almost like they justify the being like, you shouldn't want to be homeless.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. Like, and that is one thing where I would say me and you would probably agree is if you're homeless, you know, I know how that is. You go through tough times and I feel bad for you. But you shouldn't want to, that shouldn't be your goal, right? You shouldn't want to just stay there.
You just gave up on life.
Yeah, give up. Dude, that's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like to basically be so defeated. It's like, what kind of existence are you leading? And you know, I feel like you know, we should step it up as a country just to try to hone in and fix that problem.
So does that mean more taxes?
No, it means we need to reallocate some spending to some better parts that we need it. You know what I mean?
I think there should be like incentives for like nonprofits and for different kind of programs that are
and community is huge.
Yeah, communities funded, and
I think
actually
you
help.
have a little mixture of both, right?
You
should. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You should work the government and community should work together.
Yeah.
Right. But no, I
smaller
don't.
Government.
I actually agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of big government.
Yeah,
but
neither.
You should be working together.
Oh yeah.
Because where's the cohesion, right? If you're not working together towards the same goal, then what's the point? It's like one person's going to be, or one party's going to be doing more than the other. It shouldn't be that way. It should be kind of a group effort. If you want to get anything done, it's a group effort, man.
Yeah. Oh, and then I see Jennifer was just saying, all you have to do is call the crisis, hotline, and they will come out to you. There's always, awesome. I know CBI does that too. Resources, people are just not educated with it, and that's true.
That's awesome.
That is true. And if anyone needs help with their mental health, I'll come and pray for you, and I'll cast that demon out.
Call that number. Get the demon out of there too.
So do you think that people shouldn't get therapy? Like,
oh yeah, I think they should get therapy.
Okay,
yeah. So I went through the AA program, right?
Sure.
And so it's an interesting thing that I learned through the AA program was back in the 1930s when it was created.
Right.
There was a doctor that was the leading doctor in the United States on addiction, and he just purely took a scientific view of addiction, right? Break it down, and that's why we actually have insurance paying for treatment centers, because they say it's a physical condition and it's a physical disease. They call it a disease, so therefore your insurance now covers for it. They had very low success rate, like nothing. People were dying, and then Bill came in. He understood the scientific view of it, but he was considered, from the medical standpoint, a hopeless case. This guy is like thousands of others. He's crossed the line of no return. He's going to die of mental insanity from all the alcohol, or he's going to have organ failure. And his body has now pickled over. He's not coming back. And then he had an experience that he shares about, because he was an agnostic, had an experience with God, white light experience. All of a sudden, everything changes.
Right.
And so then he goes out and he tries to share the scientific, understanding of the disease.
Right.
It's not helping anybody. And then he realizes, wait a minute, we're spirit, soul, and body. The scientific is only accounting for the mental the mental science and then the physical science. But he's like, he goes, if we flip it and we address the spirit, he's like, the mind and the body follow.
I think that's fair, because you're by doing that, you're addressing more of the root of the problem. Like,
because they say it's a spiritual issue that has a physical disease that can be cured.
Well, the thing is if you want to stop addiction, you have to address some of the root of the problem, which is, first and foremost, if they say, like, let's say if you have an alcohol addiction, you can't control, like, necessarily if you drink and then you continue to drink, but you can control the first drink.
Yeah.
And so that's a good start, but then also addressing, like, okay, why do I feel the need to be doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's more of a spiritual thing, which is actually the root of the problem.
Yeah.
There's certain strategies like that you can do to fight addiction. But if you don't actually address the root of the problem, I don't think you're actually going to get better.
Like they discovered that, say, the body of an alcoholic processes the alcohol different. And so once they put it in their body, it's like all of a sudden the body takes over, the cravings begin, and they can't stop once they put it in. So then the answer would be, well, then don't put it in your body, right? And then all of a sudden now the mind is just as sick as the body, because then they convince themselves it's okay to take another drink, even though the last 1,000 times didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then so they say once this addict has developed this type of thinking, there's only a divine intervention that can save that person.
Right.
And then that's, I think, where we address the spirit.
Yeah.
And then once the spirit comes in, the mind and the body begin to level out.
I agree with what you're saying. You know what helped me though was, you know, when I was in college, I probably had a little bit of a drinking problem, and I kind of cold turkey kind of stopped. The one thing that helped me a ton was just like surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like having good examples to follow. Like, for example, when Andrew got started, just seeing his work ethic really inspired me, like to be better.
Yeah.
Just in general, not even in martial arts, just like be better human being. You know what I mean? Because this guy's crazy, man. He's actually crazy. he just took the MCAT, right? Which is like a super hard test for to get into medical school.
Yeah,
right?
to get into medical school.
He's been studying for that. He got ready for an MMA fight while also studying to be a doctor. You talk about doing something that's really hard.
Yeah.
Most people can't even do one of those. So to do both at the same time is insane to me.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a beautiful mind.
Do you think
Thank you.
do you think your faith helped you through that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd say. There is so many like distractions on like in the world and like on your phone and stuff like that. It's nice to just kind of like to know like you're on your path. You know what I mean? Like God's got you on your path. Or at least I'm convinced I was on God's path there, and I'm trying to always stay on that path, because like that's the most satisfying way to live your life, right?
Oh
so,
yeah.
If you're on that path, you feel good about what you're doing, and that keeps you going. Obviously.
Absolutely.
Just knowing that you're on that path. If you feel like you could do better in places, and it gets you to grow. And absolutely, my faith was 100% a part of that.
Right.
That's how I feel. Like I have a saying that I can't lose for winning, and people are like, "What? You lose all the time?" I'm like, "No, I can't lose for winning," because that's my mind. That's my what I've told myself. Because, and the truth behind it is, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that the same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead now is the same spirit that lives in me.
Right.
So if I have that same spirit that couldn't even allow Jesus to stay dead in the grave, then how could I lose for winning?
Absolutely, man. No, that's true.
So I'm like, bro, they're like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing so good. It's unfair to everybody else. I'm like, Jesus is for me, who can be against me? That's where that
awesome,
saying comes from. And no weapon forms against me shall prosper, and any tongue that rises against me in judgment, I shall condemn. For that is the inheritance of those who serve the Lord. And I'm like, what? So I find all these scriptures, and I'm like, bro, how could I live a defeated, broke, busted, disgusted, can't be trusted life? I'm like, no, I can't. Can't lose for winning.
And I
don't know how people do it, honestly.
I think there's a distinction to be made there, that it's okay to lose, though, because I think, and especially in martial arts, some of your best learning moments are from your losses.
So then they're not really losses.
Exactly.
You can't lose for winning.
But I just wanted to make that distinction, though. Like,
well, if you lose and give up, I think that's a loss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you fail and don't get back up, then okay, then now you're a failure.
Yeah.
But if you failed and you learned and now you're better, you didn't fail. You just found a better way.
Yeah.
No,
that's the way to do it, man. Yeah, you should live your life by that.
Heck yeah. Winners win.
Winners win, dude.
Well, guys, we're coming up on an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a great table talk. I want to thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Those who are watching, if you guys want to get in contact with these guys, go to GCU.
Yes, especially if you're going to GCU
MMA Club.
Yep.
Right. Or Knockout Fitness. Sammy, you're off the 53rd Avenue in Bell,
Yes,
and
sir.
soon we'll be opening up Knockout Fitness in Tempe.
I'll swing by that one for sure.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when the next videos come out. And I appreciate you guys for leaving a comment. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming on and leaving those comments for us. And just my last advice for those who are here: don't take life too serious. Have some fun and
Yes, sir.
learn to laugh. You know, if you get offended with what I say, then stay offended. But I still love you. God loves you. I love you. Till next time. God bless.
See you guys.
Later.